Hey everybody, Dave Giltner with TurningScience. I help scientists and engineers design and build rewarding careers in industry. You know, the private sector is a wonderful place to build a career. There are lots of challenging problems to work on. It's very exciting and it's a very dynamic environment. But it's also very different than academic research. A PhD in science and engineering teaches you some technical skills that are very valuable in the real world. But it also teaches you some habits that can hold you back when you start working in that new and very different environment. So in this video today, I want to give you 5 critical skills that PhDs who are successful in industry learn very quickly. If you can master these and incorporate them into daily habits, you'll be on your way to a great career. Number 1, they make sure their work always helps the company's bottom line. Above all else, companies exist to make money. So don't get lost in work that might be fun, but doesn't actually contribute value, which means money, to the company. It's easy to get lost in some cool technology that doesn't really have a clearly defined market or a clearly defined customer. But this is dangerous because in the end, you aren't really helping the company succeed. If a senior manager learns that you're working on something that isn't really providing value, your job could be at risk. So always make sure the work that you are doing somehow increases profits, reduces costs, improves product yields. Maybe it results in a new product, specifically one that has a clearly defined market or customer. Number 2, they learn to figure out what matters and what doesn't. In industry, you're often faced with too many things to do all at one time, and it's your job to figure out which things will matter and which really won't. Now, as a PhD, you'll be looking at jobs with a fair amount of autonomy. You won't have a boss telling you what to do on a regular basis, so you need to figure out which of those things will ultimately matter and which of those tasks likely won't matter in the end. In graduate school is different. There's a sense that you have the time you need to do a thorough job on your project and to do whatever is needed to make it better. That's not so in industry. In industry, there are generally so many things that need to be done, you need to learn to prioritize, or you'll be consumed with too many things to do and too little progress to show for it. Now, this habit's actually related to the first one I described, but this is really more about the day-to-day tasks than it is about the big projects you work on. It might be about some additional analysis you're considering, and you need to decide, is this really going to make a difference? Is it really going to impact our path forward? Or is it just consuming time that we could better spend on something else? It might be a question of improving an interface on a test system, for example, and you need to decide, is this really important to do? Can I quantify the improvement that this extra time coding a new interface is actually going to make? Will it make it faster so we can spin out more product? Will it improve the yield? Or does it simply make it a little easier to use or look more impressive? Is it possible we'll just end up redoing the interface for the next product release anyway, and this change won't really matter in the end? Those are the things you want to consider. Number 3, they realize it's more important to be effective than to be right. In academia, you have to be smart. That's how you get a good grade. That's how you get recognition. Academia trains us to be smart, to have the right answers. And for many of us, it actually becomes part of our identity, having the right answers. I would guess many of you who got a PhD did so in part because you wanted to be known as smart. I think if you're honest with yourself, that's probably the case. I know it was for me. That can be a real shift in our thinking. But the fact is, in industry, people who get things done quickly are seen as smart, because they understand what really matters. If you see that the best way to do something is actually a really simple solution anybody could have come up with, didn't need a PhD, go with it. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you need to offer complex solutions to justify your education. What people care more about is that you get things done quickly and efficiently. Now that may sound obvious, but it's always different when you're in the middle of it yourself. I've seen it many times, and frankly, I've been there myself. This also means being able to admit you're wrong. If you see that your first idea is really not the best, let it go. Much better to be wrong and be effective than to try to appear right. There's no value in that. Number 4, they learn to sell themselves and their ideas. In an academic research environment, data speaks for itself. This is not the case in industry. Business is a game, and everybody's busy playing their own position. So if you think you see the right way to move forward, stand up and sell it. Don't wait for other people to see the data and come to the same conclusion themselves. Selling isn't dirty. It's not sleazy. It's how the world works. A lot of us scientists and engineers are not really that comfortable with it. But the fact is, in the real world, data does not speak for itself, so we have to stand up and speak for it. Number 5, They learn to make decisions without all the data they might like to have. We scientists and engineers are trained to collect data and determine the right answer. Product development involves so many different things that matter beyond just technology that generally it's impossible to really know for sure what's the right path forward. The fact is, businesses only move forward when people make decisions and actions are taken. More analysis often just leads to delays and lost profit or lost opportunity. You have to be able to recognize when it's time to make a decision and move on, even if you don't have all the information you'd like to have. Now, this habit of making decisions quickly is actually so important, I have a separate video that is dedicated specifically to that topic. If you haven't seen it yet, you can find it on this same YouTube channel. So those are the 5 critical habits that PhDs who are successful in industry learn quickly. If you'd like to get these in writing as well, I have a PDF on my website. Please go to turningscience.com/signup and join our email list. You'll get access to a PDF version of these 5 habits, plus several other documents that'll help you with your career. It's totally free, and you'll also begin getting updates every time I post new career planning tools and advice. Thanks for watching. Now let's get out there and turn science into things people need.